is iRacing. Well, last week was probably a bit of a rest week for a couple of the drivers, but still delivered another instant classic here for the Skip Barber series. And well, even with the big dogs back, the series is still looking strong. Charlotte Roval is a return visit, but with a twist. We're going old school with the 2019 layout that the drivers love a lot. Live here for round 9, of the Skip Barber series live on the Global Sim Racing channel. Hello, everybody. I am Craig King, and joining me in the booth tonight is Alex Goldsmith, our director, Christian Deploy, as ever, using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. A track that has a lot of love in the slower cars. And also the NASCARs, of course. This is a fantastic road track. To find out more about it, we go to our GSRC track guide.
Welcome to Charlotte Motor Speedway. Until a few years ago, most race fans probably didn't know that this track had a road course layout. Thanks to a huge revamp to prepare for NASCAR to race on it, the Roval is now a top-tier facility. Situated in the northeast corner of Charlotte, North Carolina, there's a whopping 6 different road course layouts. They range from just under a mile to a little over 2 miles in length. Like most Rovals, the high-speed banking on the oval portion makes up the majority of the lap length. However, one unique feature that isn't often seen on other Rovals is that this track includes a decent amount of elevation change. Passing is often difficult, and the 2 chicanes on the oval portion are notorious for their unforgiving curbing. Lesser-powered cars find overtakes a bit easier with the slipstream on the banking, but anything with some oomph is going to have to work very hard to get by their rivals. If anything, attrition often rears its ugly head, and simply keeping the car pointed forward and clean will net you a good finish. While the debate rages on among gearheads on whether oval cars should race here, one thing is for sure, it provides some wild action and almost never disappoints the fans in the stands.
Well, Alex, I don't know about you, but I prefer this layout instead of the modern day layout because Turn 8 is a little bit nicer for the drivers.
Yes, I would wholeheartedly agree with that sentiment, Craig. I mean, yeah, it's going to be tough for the drivers anyway. I mean, this circuit that was opened back in June of 1960, just under 2.3 miles, 17 turns. There's a bit of everything here at Concord, North Carolina.
I love this track, and it always does provide. And like I said, for the slower classes, in the slower class, it really does work well here. And especially with a little bit of extra coming here today, because I hope you got your raincoats on, Alex, and ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be a very interesting one, but we'll get to that in a minute. We've also got a championship, of course, and it's not the iRacing standings. This is the GSRC standings for the broadcast. And Vlado Tito not here this week, but just ahead of Adam Miles, who is looking to get that 10K back. Javier Sanchez not here either, as he's a little bit preoccupied, but he's third with Steph Herman in 4th. Another person not here. Very interesting. No Philip Burke either in 5th. Pablo Rodriguez Hoglar is, though he's in 6th. Raul Roches Guardia in 7th. Peter Suapanki will be 8th, just ahead of Jeff Randall and Ricardo Espinella Martinez. It's a very close field and could be very interesting after this week with some drivers not here like they were last week. 2 drop rounds in the series. Alex, we always talk about the race standings and the race information, and this week could be very important for the drivers.
Yep, it's round 9 out of 12, 15 laps of the just under 2.3 mile circuit. As always with Skip Barber Race Series, it's open setups, 1 spare car, standing starts when we go green, and disqualification at 17 incident points.
Yeah, I think you may be seeing some people either being in 17 pieces before out of the race before you see the dreaded disqualification. So, drivers are getting ready. You could just see them. We may need the lights on. It kind of reminds me of the 2020 Xfinity and IMSA races because it is absolutely soaking wet. It's moderately wet, according to iRacing. And, well, it's been a while. And I'm looking at the radar. There is nothing but green. And if you know the iRacing radar, you know that that's a lot of rain. And these are single set tires. So what I mean by that is these are the same tires they use in the dry that they will use in the rain. So they're going to have to work out how to get their, I think they need their flippers on right now, Alex.
I think they might think they're in modern day kayaks and they need a set of paddles, one on each side, to be completely honest. You can just see how we're on board with Javier Sanchez, Heike 360, and you can just see how much wheel work this man is going to have to do as he starts his first sort of real true timed lap here at Charlotte. It is going to be incredibly crucial, and more to the point, you know, look at the wheel work. The back end is just constantly loose on the cars. You know, you've got to really, I mean, look at this. Oh, bump the barriers, why don't you, Heike 360? And that has possibly cost him one of his 2 flying laps.
Yeah, this is really different, and this isn't light rain. Like the last time, every time they've had rain here for the Skip Barber series, it's either been rain a couple hours before in sim time, so it's a wet track but you can just use the slicks, or it's a wet track that there's no rain or there's a light bit of rain and you're able to get some of the time. Look at Adam Miles! And that's an experienced driver coming through turn 2 and looking for the aquaplane. Gets off the paint will be the name of the game today. You can just run that sausage curve, yes. You can run here, and they're going to have to be a little bit careful because, remember, this is the old layout here, so you go up the hill and around the hill, and look at the slides. We talk about how you have to slide this car sometimes, and some of the drivers do, but where do you find the gaps here? Where do you find it? If this was the modern-day version, this corner right here would be lethal, but it's a little bit more forgiving. The drivers do love this line, and that allows them to get on to the oval. And now where do you go? Normally, you take the bottom of the oval, but this is absolutely soaking wet. You want to keep the momentum up, and you want to make sure that you're not in that rubbered area. There is rubber there, even though that it's wet. As now they're going to have to watch out where do they brake for the infamous bus stop. And remember, it is the 2019 version, the current version, of course, almost sliding the car through, just cutting in. That's an apron that you're not meant to drive on, but the drivers drive on, so that will be interesting. Danny Vimo will be the first time qualified. Ricardo Martinez is up there now in second, as Adam Miles, providing he doesn't make a mistake here, should, knock on wood, get up to the top or close to the top right here. Hard braking, and well, the car doesn't want to stop. He's trying to stop it, gets it under control, paddles his way through to the finish line, and his first lap time's a 1:42.8. That did not look easy.
No, I mean, you could actually hear him lifting off, heading into the final couple of corners there, Craig, into that final chicane. So, as Danny Vimo completely sideways in the number 7 car, this is more than skating on ice. You are literally flying by the seat of your pants. You're trying to see what the car's going to do and react accordingly with both brake and throttle input, and also the steering wheel in your hands. So you're going to have to really, really chance your luck. But like you say, it seems to be the middle line through the oval bank corners that the drivers are able to use to get the traction down and get the performance out of these Skip Barber race cars. But Danny Vimo, he did a 35.4 in the, well, a 35.5. And look, he just bumped over the sausage curbs there. And they're having to get very, very close to the wall before they come through the final part of the oval here at Charlotte. And this is going to be crucial now. Does Danny Vimo decide to feather things a little bit, or does he decide to go full send? If he goes full send, there is a risk that car will end up in the barriers. 100% guaranteed.
Vimo gets it under control. He's looking to try and get a decent time. It's not faster. Martinez comes across. Suapanki's just come across as well, but I think Suapanki, nope, he did. He put it into P4. And we're going to see some interesting times here, and I think some drivers aren't going to qualify because, well, either they've crashed the car or they've had 2 invalid laps. So it's going to be a very confusing grid here today. We'd split 16 and 16, 32 signups. Hoglar goes into 5th as here's Jeff Randall. He's just set his first time, as this is a very treacherous time. I hate to say it, Alex, that the biggest gap between P1 and P2 this season has been 0.571. I think we might be breaking it today because I don't know who's going to be able to keep their car in one piece.
Well, Adam Miles just improved and did a low 42.3 on his second time lap, which is absolutely mighty. So, I mean, we've got Javier Sanchez, no lap time. Benedito Torres, no lap time. Meschini, no lap time. Garcia Alba, Nunes Gonzalez, who are riding on board at the moment, no lap time. So 11 out of the 16 drivers have been able to set a lap time. Meschini is in the... well, I don't know whether Meschini's decided to bottle qualifying and go, well, you know what, I'll take my chances in the race. And these 15 laps, if the conditions are going to be like this, you know, the track temp is 2 degrees centigrade or 4 degrees Fahrenheit colder than the air temp. And that is more than moderately wet. That is absolutely teeming it down. It's cats and dogs as Garcia Alba now comes through the final chicane. Can the number 15 register a lap time? Sideways whilst applying the power across the line. A 43.9. Does that time get registered? It puts him on the outside of the front row.
That's a fantastic time. And talked about it before when it comes to the rain. You may see some rain masters. There's not many people do a lot of rain driving around on the series, but the track is getting a little bit better. I say that it's still absolutely bucking it down, but Adam Miles with a strong time in the wet for pole position with Juan Antonio Garcia Alba in second. Danny Vima will be third with Ricardo Espinela Martinez fourth. Alan Gomez Selfa will be in fifth with Pablo Rodriguez Hoglar in sixth. Jeff Randall seventh with Alex Vidania in eighth. Peter Surpanki will take ninth and Rafael Rogers will be 10th.
Rounding out the 16 strong, we've got Javier Venezuela's Martin, German Suarez, Javier Sanchez, Heike 360, no qualifying lap time set. And then Julio Benedito Torres, Franco Micini, and then Duarte Nunes Gonzalez round out the 8 rows. The last 4 not setting a lap time in qualifying, so deciding I'm not going to chance it in the quali. I'll chance it a bit more in the race.
Well, the back of the field, from Javier Sanchez onwards, they're not starting straight. They are in the chicane. That's big because if you're Benedito Torres, if you're Machini, if you're Gonzalez, you're actually starting on water. It's not the grid. You're actually on water. So they're going to have to be careful. There they are just in the background. That's going to be really tough. But also, grid start on a banking here because it is Charlotte Roval. Usually, you start a formation lap in the pit lane, but not today. You're just going to have to accept it. I keep looking at this radar. It's green. And green's good. Pablo Rodriguez, Hoglar just said it best. It's a nice day in Charlotte. Last time, the only time I was in Charlotte, it was a thunderstorm that delayed my plane for an hour and a half before it got there. I never saw Charlotte because of it. All I know is it loves the weather. Well, these drivers are going to have to enjoy it themselves. We get ready to go green for 15 laps around Charlotte Motor Speedway Roval. And it's off we go. And this could be a very important who gets the best run here because it's absolutely soaking it wet. They're going to need to paddle down into turn 1. And this could be very important. Very quick run into turn 1. Cars will now have to just work their way through. Lots of spray if you're in the background. Everybody getting clean, though. That's the important thing. No one losing it at the moment. What about turn 3, turn 4? They're keeping it clean.
Yeah, it's all about just getting through this opening lap clean and safe. But, oh, Hoglar had a moment. Celta had a moment. And Hoglar, I think, might just get the move on Gomez Selfa there to the inside. And they're swapping positions again. Hoglar back up into P5. But they both, whilst applying the traction, whilst applying the throttle, the back end decided to step out. Went, yeah, you're going to need a little bit more cooperation than just boosting it, my friend. You need to steer as well. As Venezuela's Martin trying to make up some moves here. And has already passed Peter Suapanki, who's dropped from 9th to 11th position. Do not tell me you're going to try and go 3 wide around the oval, boys. Oh, Noah's Ark style here. And where's Moses? We need the seas parted.
Well, Javier Sanchez just showed why you can't use that lower line. They're all going hard braking. One driver's going to be missing. 3 drivers missing out there. And it looks like it's Gomez, it's Martin, and I think there was one other driver as well. Julio Gonzalez, sorry. No, it was Torres, sorry. Who also got a slowdown, and Miles losing out there as well to the lead. But that was a slowdown from Alba. Alba gives it back up as well. And I think Martinez having a little bit of off track to Randall. What a start here from Randall. What an even better start from Hoglar. Caught Vimo napping. By the way, Javier Sanchez, Not been the best to start for him. Big crash in the background. They're trying to avoid. Very good avoidance there. Herman, Suarez, and Medina then just having a little bit of a spin on the exit of the final bus stop.
Yeah, that was very, very close indeed. Of course, Jeff Randall last time out put it on pole position. His race was down the toilet by the end of the opening couple of laps, but he's making a good comeback here at Charlotte Roval. But Vimo closing in on Hoglar, who's now up 3 spots from the outside of row 3, now 3rd. But Miles starting to try and pull away from Alba, as look as how sideways Hoglar was. On the power, booted the back end to the left, and kept the slide going. Well held.
Yeah, Vimo just got onto the paint there, went a bit too far. We've got a replay lined up of that crashes. This was everyone missing everyone missing 1, 2, then 3, and then you got 4. There's another one. Everybody missing. I tell you what, we can laugh. I'd be doing the exact same thing if I was in there right now. Vimo's going to try and take the inside line here for Hoglar. It's going to be the last of the late breakers in the wet, and everyone just keeps it clean. They're losing time. This is crazy to say. They're losing time to the guys in front, which is Miles and Alba. And Alba, bless him, is trying the best he can. He's got the Alonso livery on. Alonso, well, he wasn't the best in the wet, but when it came to a Roval, he was fantastic in the wet.
Yeah, just keeping an eye on the chat at the moment. Kevin from Paduga saying, looks like I arrived just in time. Yes, you did, Kevin, as we're nearly going to go 3 wide possibly here. That looks a little bit sketchy as we got Raffaele Rogers in the number 11 car. Running out the top 8. Look at that. Salfa sideways. Picture in picture. Replay Peter Suapanki. There she spins.
Yeah, and that's why you never drive a vehicle full speed for a puddle of water, because you lose the rear. And I think that's what happened there for Peter, and get it going again, but going to have to make a lot of recovery drives. Rogers, he's not close enough to try and make that move around the outside of this infield section, trying his best, and the inside still working. He's actually slowed the reds down, which allows him in front. A mistake there from Martinez. They're going to try and take this side by side, but still that door's not open. It's a good defense there from Selford, trying the best he can, but they're a little bit bunched up here at the moment. That sounds crazy when you think about what we've had all season. A little bit bunched up. Is there going to be a move here from Rogers? No. Alba's losing the front there. Hoglar's trying to catch up. He's got Vimo, but these guys still battling. And the slide from Raphael Rogers. They're all just really finding the limit here. And every lap's different because it's just constantly raining out there.
Yeah, Vimo going side by side, picture in picture with Hoglar into the chicane. Hoglar goes straight up, does not even bother braking, just goes, well, I'm going to slow down penalty. But hey, you've got to watch your incident points, Pablo, I'm afraid, on that front. And Hoglar actually managed to get through on Alba and has had to serve the slowdown penalty. He got up to P2 just by that cheeky shortcut by not braking. Brilliantly timed.
Well, we've got some more side-by-side here. And again, another driver struggling. Rogers just at the end there. Again, you go too low on this oval and you're on that rubbered in section. And that's just so tough. This is completely soaking wet here. There's no rubber. There's nothing. It's absolutely soaking. Javier goes up in the ditch and he's up +4 for the day. Machini is up 8, by the way. Randall's up 3. Just to give you an idea of some of the positions that they're trying not to tap the wall. 2 in the most, but Vimo, he was doing so well out there, and that's just a so small spin, just trying to cover in too much. The rubbered in line, I think it was, picture in picture, in it goes. Yeah, that's trying to take that rubbered in line. That's just a little bit. We've all done that. You think you've got the confidence to take it a little bit closer, and now Hoglar's gone wide.
In the meantime, Jeff Randall's up to P3 now. So he's making the best of this as Jeff at the moment. But yeah, it's just because you cannot see Patolfi around here at Charlotte Oval, especially when we've got Hoglar, Martinez, Vimo, Meschini, Salfa, Sanchez, Rogers. They're all in a pack. That's from 4th down to 10th position as we ride on board with the man from Argentina in number 10. Running P7 at the moment. Look, the spray is absolutely biblical. They're nearly 3 wide going into the chicane. There's Vimo just in front. Meschini trying to judge where he's going to position the car. As Vimo to the outside of Hoglar. Martinez now up into P4. Moschini might be able to do something here, but look at this, nearly interlocking wheels are Messrs Vimo and Hoglar. Moschini decides to go to the high side of the oval. That's brave from the Argentinian, but he gets caught out by the spray. And once again, it's lift off, slow the car. Hoglar goes around, so does Vimo. And Moschini's through to 5th. Oh dear, the two that were battling over P3, they've both become a cropper, and they both spun at exactly the same point on the circuit.
Well, Hoglar was trying to control the car coming down into that chicane. And we always say there's a bit of AstroTurf there for the braking. Well, I think the rear wheels just clipped the AstroTurf and he just lost everything. And the car just started aquaplaning because of it. And he tried to save as much as he can. Thinking about saving it, Stelfer, well, he's taking a bit of a joker lap there, but keeps it under control. And that's insane. Let's look at a quick replay here. I think we're going to see the incident there. Javier Sanchez just had a spin just background. Here's Hoglar. He's having to fight this right here. There goes the twitch. Starts to brake. That's the paint. That's the aquaplane. You can see those wheels were just locking. And, well, that was thankfully not a massive hit. But he tried to avoid everybody and was trying not to collect anybody. Unfortunately, he did collect one driver. And it was the man he was battling with a P2 about 3 laps ago.
Yeah, look at this for places gained at the moment. Moschini up 10 spots. Heike 360 up 7. And now is starting to close in on the Argentinian. So that's the battle for P5, whereas Moschini's right on the back of Ricardo Espinela Martinez. So the battle for P4 has become a 3-car train. As we've got another replay coming up in picture. Now this is going to be Sanchez. Oh my, how on earth Heike 360 saved that? That was a mega slide and a mega save to boot.
Well, how's Moschini just done this? He's going to get this overtake in the wet. Down into the final corners, gets the overtake done, having to take the long way around the oval, which technically is the faster way tonight because of how wet it is. And if you've only just joined, it's not drying up. This is what we are for the rest of the race. This is one of the wettest conditions I've seen in a while on a race, as Moschini is battling Martinez. And Martinez, well, the outside line doesn't usually work because it's a bit rubbered in, but you have to cross over the line. And Moschini, well, he's crossed over and still trying to do the crossover. It's working for him as Martinez, well, not a lot he can do there, just keeps on following. Vimo has taken a tow as well. Vimo's out of the race, and he's had even more trouble at that same corner we've been talking about. Turn 2 has caught him out once again. This time, though, he said hello to the barrier.
Yeah, and that's just, yeah, that could really put a scupper on his race because Martinez is now starting to close in. Still, Javier Sanchez is still with them, and the gap between 4th, 5th and 6th at the minute is just over 0.7 of a second, so it's anyone's guess as to who's going to position the car where on the circuit, and that's quite crucial. Martinez to the inside, but Moschini able to keep it around the outside through the chicane, as Hoglar on Rogers. Now, well, no, that wasn't on Rogers, that would have been on Selva, and that's for P8, so... And Vimo is in the pit lane and has had a mechanical black flag as well to boot.
Yeah, had that mechanical black flag as Miles continues to just keep putting time after time up, and the gap's now 5.3 seconds or 5 seconds. Just remember, the combined total for all the peak gaps between P1 and P2 this season is less than a second. So this is kind of going to be the biggest gap we've seen all season by, I would say, by 1.5 miles. 5 seconds is very big. And give credit, though, to Alba. No one, and I'm looking at the times right now, no one has even matched Alba. And what a drive that is, because everyone's in the 44s right now struggling. As you see, Sanchez still battling. I think I just saw Rando have a bit of a slide. Sanchez is going to have to defend this around the outside of Rogers, and he may get this done as the rubbered in line plays boot. And yeah, Rogers can't do that. And around that outside of turn 6, that worked really well for Sanchez. Yeah, everyone's in the 44s. They're battling. Alba's on his own doing 43. Miles is in a world of his own doing 42s. Give some credit, though, to Juan Antonio Garcia Alba on his own. I'm knocking on wood. I don't want to curse him. Driving like he knows how to drive in the rain.
Well, I think also the qualifying lap time that Garcia Alba also provided to put himself on the front row alongside Adam Miles. That is not an easy feat, and the weather, they do say, Craig, is the great equaliser here at Lake Charlotte.
I mean, rain is just a great equaliser, full stop, and it's just one of the reasons why I love rain. Just, you know, do you want your hot lapping? No, come on. You're going to be doing a lot of racing in the rain, and it has really, like, we've had wet races before in this series. I don't think we've had a wet race like this before, and well, you can see now why some people don't like a lot of rain, but well, it's the way it is in the nature of the series. As Jeff Randall, well, again, he's on his own in P3. Machini is slowly catching him, but we're halfway through the race. I can't see Machini, knock on wood, catching, because Machini's too busy looking behind him right now, because there are a couple cars just behind him battling on. Martinez as well. Martinez, Sanchez, Rogers, Hogler. There they are, all battling. And just when you saw that onboard earlier, that's what they're having to deal with. A lot of spray. In fact, look at it. Just on the shoulder camera. I know there's two cars up ahead, but I don't know there's a third car, because all I see is just water.
Yeah, it looks like we've got another spinner as well. It's, again, just how you pick your lines here. And here's Hoglar again having it. Oh, that is, he's lucky he kept that out of the barrier, to be completely honest with you. But once it starts snaking, that tail end, when it lets go, you are quite clearly a passenger. But yeah, looking at this onboard on the shoulder camera of Raffaele Rogers, you know, and now Javier Sanchez, Heike 360 closing in on Ricardo Espinela Martinez for that 5th place. And now Meschini, I've been keeping an eye on his lap times, the Argentine's lap times in comparison with Jeff Randall here, Craig. And he's about 0.4 of a second quicker. And on this previous lap alone, the majority of the time he's made up is through sector 2. He's taken over 0.3 out of Jeff. So that gap is coming down. Where on earth has Adam Miles been able to do a 42.173 in these conditions? I think that was quicker than his pole time.
It is. It was a 42.319 for qualifying. And either the track's coming to him, or he's, you know, it's like the old adage about riding a bicycle. We haven't done proper wet racing. And I'm talking proper wet racing. Not when it's very lightly wet. The track, the last couple of races we've had in the wet in this series have been declared lightly wet. This is moderately wet. The precipitation, I never get that word right, but I got it right there. 30% is the precipitation around the oval here at this area. Miles is just he is really just pushing it in picture. Suapanki still battling as well, trying to get some more moves up here. He's trying to go and defend the outside or go into the inside of Benedito Torres. He just can't make it. Torres is going to run that paint. This track is not actually, Torres has gone too wide there. You're going to lose out there. He tried to get it under control. Good control. Everyone who's gone on that painted area today had absolutely struggled. But where has that time gone? In fact, you're talking about that time, Alex. Albert did a 1:43 flat. His qualifying was 1:43.9. So where are these times coming from? I
think one of the big things is because both of them have got significant clear air, so they're able to gauge the conditions a lot better. Whereas if you're Mr. Suapanki, right behind Mr. Benedito Torres, you've got a face full of spray, and now you've got to really sort of gauge and try and remember. A 41.494 in these conditions. And Garcia Alba's just responded with a 42.7. Those two are away and clear. They've got more than a country mile between themselves and the rest of the opposition, because it's another 7.2 seconds back to Jeff Randall, but Meschini is catching. Meschini took nearly 0.6 out of Jeff Randall. Gap now down to under 2.1.
Yeah, but Meschini didn't set a qualifying time. Randall's qualifying time was a 1:45.1, and he's just done a 43 flat. The rain isn't stopping, right?
No.
Let's just be right here. No rain is stopping. There is a bit of a dry line starting to form, but then it just goes away pretty quickly by some of these drivers. Suapanki still battling on Torres. This is just some really good heads up, learning the conditions and driving it. I'm not sure how many races this week they've had in the rain and having to really challenge for it, but who knows? If you want to get more wet weather racing this weekend, IMSA Vintage on Saturday afternoon, chance of rain on that one. So do want to watch that on the Global Sim Racing channel. But I think Torres has run the paint too many times there. Indeed he had, side by side with Suapanki as they'll come down back onto the oval. The outside works so well in these conditions, and Suapanki's going to say thank you very much. He's a net -1 for the day. It's a very balmy day. Javier Sanchez as well, also catching up to Machini as we were talking about. Now look at this spray. And thankfully, this is the backward spray. But what's Torres meant to see? Nothing.
Yeah, and here comes Suarez as well to boot. So Herman Suarez is... Oh, could have really stuck his nose up between the pair of them. And can he get the crisscross here as Suapanki gets through on... Well, tries to get through on Benedito Torres. And Suapanki seems to be a little bit slower on the straightaways. So as Hoglar's got past Alpha again for P8. But look at this. How brave do you want to be, Herman Suarez? To the outside, through on Peter Suapanki. And you would never see that possibly in a dry race at the best of times, but to throw it round the outside like that into the final chicane, and now he's not settling for just 11th. He wants that 10th spot, and Benedito Torres is going to have to fight him. Suarez to the inside, and then crisscross here from the number 9 to the inside, and Torres drifts wide. Suarez gets through, but by a whisker, and then there comes the tractor contact, and Benedito Torres gets a little bit of a nerf by accident. It was unstoppable force versus a movable object, and Herman Suarez has bagged himself P10.
Yeah, a lot of sliding there. I think Torres was taking more of a looser line and trying to sort of swing the car into these corners in the wet, and I think that line just caught out Suarez there. It wasn't a on purpose hit, of course. It was just one of those racing deals. And of course, with 5 to go, you want to get going again. So I don't blame them. Selford's going to look to try and go around the outside of Hoglar, but no. He says to Pablo, why didn't you try and make another mistake? And, well, credit to Pablo, doing really well, because that's a lot of pressure to put on the drivers. And that gap at the top, yeah, that gap at the lead's almost 10 seconds. And that's kind of crazy. I mean, again, let's go back to the history of this season. 10 seconds is probably the gap between the top 10 cars in a normal race. That just goes to go. Rogers with a 41.4. This track is starting to come to the drivers. It's also warming up, and I wonder if that's a factor. 19 Celsius, 66 Fahrenheit. The rain hasn't stopped, but I think the track warming up a bit as the sun, wherever the sun is coming out. I think that's helping. A little bit more heat on these tires, just helping with the grip levels, I reckon.
Yeah, and I think it also comes back to what you said earlier, Craig, about the fact that the drivers have had to learn on the fly. You know, they've had that qualifying session to just get that little bit of a watching brief, but now, where they're in full race mode, it's a case of just sort of sink or swim, which is quite appropriate because of the conditions we've got here at Charlotte Roval. The rain is continuing. We've got 4 to go, as Miles is now 10.5 seconds ahead of Alba, as Benedito Torres to the inside of Suapanki retakes 11th position, then gets the traction, drifts a little bit wide. Suapanki and the twisty stuff seems to be a little bit more composed, but it's that straight line that's hurting the Finn. So as soon as they get on the power, Suapanki's a bit powerless at the moment.
Yeah, a little bit of a broken wing on Suapanki's car, and I think that's what's hindering him at the moment, as Hoglar just continues to harass Selfa there and tries to make a little bit of an issue here. Let's have a quick replay, picture-in-picture. Herman Suarez. Oh, that's a very weird slide. Regis, I think, caught a puddle there and just said no. And look at Selfa. One would argue he's pushing him to the wall. Others would say, well, you're trying to find the wet stuff, and that's not helped him. Hard into the wet stuff they go again, and this is what he wanted, and Hoglar will get that position. Very nicely done. They're going to be free to go as well. That gap is growing. I did see Javier Sanchez. Machini hasn't got it all his way. In fact, Machini has just dipped into the grass, and Sanchez, just looking in my screen, he's looking for a move here, trying to put the pressure, and he just loses the rear. But Machini, Sanchez, Martinez, all trying to battle for P4, and they are slowly catching Jeff Randall at the same time.
Yeah, but with this and 2 more to go, it's going to be a tall order unless Jeff Randall has a slight mistake. But Jeff's actually kept it on track. He's up 4 spots and on the final step of the rostrum at the moment. So this is going to be very crucial for points for Sanchez and Martinez. But more to the point is how brave do you want to be when we have 2 to go, and that is going to be just under 4.5 miles of real estate to cover here at Charlotte Roval. So what can Sanchez do? What can Martinez do? That's going to be quite crucial at this point. But Moschini just keeping the back end of that Skippy Barber car as wide as humanly possible. But look at Sanchez. He is not giving up. He's looking to the high side as Miles sets another new fastest lap of the race of 41.423. And we've got a replay coming up in picture. Raffaele Rogers, just straight lines the chicane. And that's going to be a slowdown penalty for the number 11 car. But still, I mean, Miles is just absolutely flying at the moment. He just did a 41.4. Garcia Alba did a 42.659, his best lap. Okay, get this, folks. Fastest lap by Adam Miles, 41.423. Garcia Alba, 42.180. That is 1.8 seconds quicker than his qualifying time.
Well, Alex, you know how you said you needed Jeff Randall to have a mistake? He went wide at the final chicane, and he's just slid through turn 5 into 6, and all of a sudden, with a lap and a half to go, well, we've got some interesting drama, because Moschini's caught up to the back of Randall.
And he's bringing along Sanchez and Martinez for the ride as well, so 4 cars, 3rd to 6th, battling over the final step of the podium. And this, I think, could be a very... over 100 miles an hour. Even with applying the power, Jeff Randall is having a little bit of tail-happy momentum here. But this is going to be very, very crucial for these drivers. He's sideways through the first part of it. Manages to keep it tight to the wall. Moschini's going to close in on him. Moschini's going to go to the outside. And look at this. Heike 360 trying to use the slipstream here. Does he want to make it 3 wide? Will the Spaniard go to the high side? He's going to look for the move. That's brave from Heike 360 into the final chicane. Here comes Martinez, tags the left rear of Heike 360. Randall's all over the shop. Moschini's going to look to the inside line to make a getaway, and here comes Heike 360. It's 3 wide with 1 lap to go.
They'll kick it into 3 wide. They're still 3 wide as well. Lap car as well. De facto 4 wide. Back into 2 they go. Great moves from Randall. Sanchez decided to try and get what he could. I don't think he's got any wheel damage off that small hit as well from Martinez. But now he's just pushing on. And now comes the interesting part. How wide do you want to go? He knows that Randall's been having a few issues here for the championship. This could be handy for Sanchez to get this P3 as we see Martin. It's well with a black flag as well in the background. Not sure what that is all about. He's had a crash at the meatball flag as Sanchez will come around. I'm looking where Adam is. Don't worry. Adam's coming up to the final few corners. He's almost got this race in the bag, but this is the important battle right here. What can Sanchez do? Comes on to the oval. And he sees that Randall will be trying to take as high of a line as he can. And then he dips into the rubber. And I wonder if that's just going to cause a little bit of an upset. The speed difference is big. Sanchez is going to have to go for this move. He's going to have to go for this. Can he make this under duress? He cannot. Coming around the final corner, though, will be Adam Miles. It's not only just a victory for Adam, it's a 10K once again for Adam Miles. And we get back to that because Alba's going to get P2. Randall is in this hot battle with Sanchez, and Javier, he's tried this a few times. We know the outside works well here. He's going to have to be the last of the late breakers. In the pouring rain, he can't do it. He's trying to make Randall make a mistake. Randall makes a mistake. They dodge drills. They come together, and their nose not going to get it because Moschini said, gracias. What a skill at the line from Franco Moschini.
Grande Moschini, what a move. Right, I kind of thought that might happen, but here we go, the battle for P10. Juan Benedito Torres, Herman Suarez, and then Peter Suapanki, the Flying Finn. This is the battle for P10. So how is this one going to play out? Because they're going to, well, Suarez goes for a late old dive and then some. and then goes a little bit squirrely, bumps over the curb, spins the car right in front of Suapanki. Benedito Torres takes P10.
And Suarez says, thank you very much for the little hit there that allowed me to stay there. Give a shout out to Juan Antonio Garcia Alba, by the way. P2 in that field. The top two were not hassled at all race. And what a drive from the man holding the iconic Fernando Alonso colours here, the old famous yellow and blue Renault. That was illegal, I will say, for one season, for a few races. Regardless, still driven by one of the best races we've seen in a while in motorsport. Let's get to the standings because, well, it almost feels like a mirror image in some respects. But Adam Miles gets that victory, took the fastest lap on the last lap as well, by 14 seconds. That's not possible in a Skip Barber race. Alba will come home in second. Machini goes up 12 places and steals one from Jeff Randall and Javier Sanchez, who finishes 4th and 5th respectively. Martinez will be in 6th. Rogers will take 7th, up 3. Hoglar recovers to 8th. Selfa will go down to 9th. Torres rounds out your top 10.
Then Peter Suapanki and Herman Suarez rounded out the top 12. Duarte Nunes Gonzalez in 13th. Javi Penuelas Martin, the penultimately classified driver on our field, ahead of Danny Vima, who was battling with Pablo Rodriguez Hoglar so many times this race. I think we lost count. And Alex Vidana, unfortunately, retiring with 2 laps to go, with 2 laps completed.
Yeah, we did miss that incident, but all drivers are accounted for, and I think some drivers will want to come in from the virtual range to the dry, and what better not than to talk to Adam Miles, our race winner today. First of all, Adam, congratulations. The 10K is back, but more importantly, that looked like a very interesting swim out there for you today.
Yeah, that was not how you normally do, Charlotte. It's you just have to be so alert at all times. There's no switching off when you're on a Roval in a river. So yeah, I mean, it had a fantastic qualifying, fantastic race. So just glad to get the 10K back again and again.
I don't know how many people on the whole sim have managed to say they've got 10K in a wet race. You might be one of the only ones, so you can have that as a little mantle here. What was interesting, we were looking at this. The times at the end of the race were just dropping. Your fastest lap was almost a second faster than your qualifying, and it was still raining. What was going on out there? Was it just the track getting a bit more grip out there, or was it the temperature? Because we were quite intrigued that everybody all of a sudden was just going faster.
Yeah, it didn't feel like it let off, although I did get I got a caller, I think around lap 8 or lap 9. It's, it looks like it's easing off, lighter rain, but then 3 or 4 laps later it said it was getting harder again. So it's probably a little bit of tyres, a little bit of just ultimately everyone's exploring the track for the first time. So it's when you're in conditions like this, that was effectively 15 practice laps where you're just learning every time you go around every corner. So probably a bit of all of the above.
Probably a bit of all the above, and one would say I think some drivers would love to do this again. I know we don't do it to Gilles Villeneuve next week, but would you like to see this level of rain again? Because I know it's a hot point by some drivers.
I mean, in moderation, I think I would. I don't really like the way we have 2 designated weeks per season with a sort of 30% chance of rain. I'd rather see all 12 weeks have maybe like a 5% chance of rain. So, people don't get to avoid the races where they think it might rain. You're going to have to take a gamble every week of the season that you might have to drive in the wet. So I'd like to see the rain at every track where it's reasonable to see it.
And like I said, just before we let you go, Gilles Villeneuve next week. Championship, you've got the championship back here in your grass again with no Vlado and Sanchez getting 5th. Your thoughts next week? There's going to be another slipstreaming track. Yeah,
I mean, what tracks aren't in the Skippy? You've got the mega back straight down to the Race of Champions, Wall of Champions on the final lap. So yeah, I mean, I would be surprised if there wasn't a 3 wide into the final chicane on the last lap. So let's just hope we can all get through it if that's what happens.
Yeah, I'd like to have a voice after next week, please, very much. Adam, congratulations for the victory. Congratulations on the 10K. We look forward to seeing you at Jules Villeneuve next week.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Adam Miles, our winner of the evening. And then next, just coming into the booth with Alex, the man who just got pipped off the podium, is Jeff Randall.
Jeff, it was so close, mate. So close. I mean, you weathered the storm in the early parts of the race, but then talk to us about that battle between you, Franco, and Zabio, because that was like heart in the mouth stuff in the wet here at Charlotte.
Tell me about it. I've had to get the defibrillator out to get my heart started again.
I wondered if someone was shouting clear in the background.
Well, Franco, I mean, God, what a race from him. I think he started P15, didn't he? So to come back from P15, what an effort. And I couldn't find any pace until about lap 8 or 9. And then lap about 8 or 9, the gap had come down to about 2.2. And then I started increasing it slightly, and I started finding a rhythm. I found a really good rhythm. Until an almighty cock-up at the end of lap 13, where I had to go straight on the final chicane. And then there was a big old moment in lap 14. But that last chicane and coming down that final straight on the last lap, I mean, I'll be honest, I was terrified. It was horrible.
It's sort of like you're waiting for the infamous Jaws music to start ringing in your ears, then thinking, "Oh, please just let me keep P3. Please let me keep P3." And then, Javier decided to go for it. Franco went for it, but still, nevertheless, P4 in a very, very difficult race is a good outcome.
Yeah, made up with that. I'm chuffed with that, to be honest. I think I'd said to myself, anything in the top 5 at the end of this, and I'll be happy. In fact, I said if I finish, I'll be happy.
Yeah, well put, I must say. But Jeff, thanks for joining us, buddy, and we look forward to seeing you next week.
It's a pleasure. Thanks for everything you do, guys.
Jeff Randall there, coming home in 4th for the day. And, it's sunny all of a sudden at the Roval. No, don't worry, the rain hasn't gone. We're just showing that the better pictures here. Shout out once again as we get ready to close off to the Skip Barber community for bringing us back once again this season. And of course, to the team that brought this today, from Alex, from Christian, from Dougie, and myself, Craig. Now, don't forget, more racing happening this weekend. Gilles Villeneuve, of course, next week on the same day. It's going to be dry. Don't worry. You're not going to have a Jensen Button moment out there next week. It will be dry at Gilles Villeneuve. That's going to be very interesting. Wall of Champions. Wonder if Adam will want to hit the Wall of Champions.
Oh, dear, don't.
Don't, yeah. Let's not
You just had to.
I just had to do it. We'll wait and see. If you want more racing this weekend, Grand Prix Legends, the Lotus 49s will be at Interlagos. IMSA Vintage heads to a possible wet race at Lime Rocks. If you like the rain today, you might like that. And then Miami is the home of the Lotus 79s before the Porsche Owners Club demolish the Nordschleife. And talking about demolish, that's what Adam Miles did today. I no longer need to keep track of the closest gaps because I was hoping it was going to be less than a second for the whole season. Adam just decided, nope, 14 seconds is enough. That's all he needs. He's back to 10K and he's looking forward to Gilles Villeneuve. Until next time, race clean, race hard, and we will see you on the track.